If there's one debate that we thought had been settled a long time ago, it's the one between digital and film. But I don't think it has been settled. And lots of filmmakers around the world also agree, given the continuation of the use of 35mm film for motion picture shooting. Now, I've been using film in Super 8 form recently, and I've discovered a whole new way of shooting. Now, Super 8 is not a patch on 35mm, it's not even a patch on 16mm film. But what I have discovered is that film offers qualities that you simply don't get from digital. Even if you apply a filter in post to your digital footage, it still doesn't have the same magic that real film does. There's a certain something to the way that film looks and behaves, the way that motion is represented, that digital just somehow can't seem to replicate, no matter what type of filter you apply. There's also something to the craft of using film. It's a precious resource. It costs money to use. And what this means is that when you're using film, you tend to take a lot more care over the shot that you're taking. Do you really want that particular shot and angle? Today, a lot of filmmakers, a lot of creators are wanting to get away from that digital look. The digital look is very clean. There's no grain or noise to the image. Effectively, there's no character to it. When most of us want to use film, we're using it for its very specific aesthetics, that lo-fi look. But just the way in which film handles light is very different to how digital does. And it gives it a certain quality that is just very difficult to get when you're using a digital camera. As I say, even if you use a filter afterwards in post, it's really great to be able to get that image in camera. When it comes down to it, when you're shooting a feature or even a short, the camera you use is probably way down the list of things of importance. Your production design, your lighting, and your framing, your general cinematography is going to take precedence over the camera that you're using. Although with digital, you're not really choosing your camera for the aesthetic as such, whereas with film, you are choosing that aesthetic. And as we see with modern filmmaking, filmmakers like Christopher Nolan still embrace film as a shooting format. And we've also seen with Dune the use of film to create a new look. They shot it digitally, but then they printed that digital footage out to film and then rescanned it back in, because the director thought that film on its own would look a bit too retro, but digital just looked too clean, so he merged the two formats. Interestingly, despite film's age and the apparent fact that some people regard it as obsolete, it's actually one of the best archive formats. In 100 years' time, if you've got an electronic storage device, there's no guarantee you're going to be able to access it or even interface with it in any way, shape or form. So your archival footage on digital has to constantly be moved and to be able to keep up with technological developments and new storage systems. Whereas you can take a 100-year-old film, and yes, if it hasn't been stored correctly, there might be some fade, it might be in poor condition, but as we've seen from restorations on films such as Star Wars, we know that you can regain that colour information. You can make a pristine restoration from it. Stored in very good conditions, film will last as long as you need it to. You will always be able to use film and be able to create new scanned digital versions of it in the future. There's no guarantee you can do that with your digital footage now. So I think that despite the fact that film is being used less and less these days, there is still a place for it when it comes to creative movie making and feature films and even shorts. If you haven't tried film, even if you just grab yourself a Super 8 camera, it's one of the most rewarding ways of shooting I've ever come across, and I wish I'd embraced it much sooner. It's only in recent years that I've investigated shooting with it in any sort of significant way. I love the sound of the film going through the gate. I love the anticipation of waiting for your footage to see what you've got. You don't know if your footage is going to come out or not. But I can't even describe to you how rewarding it is to finally see your film come back from the lab. And I know that some of you out there will be watching this and thinking, well, look, I can just apply that filter in post to get that aesthetic. But I think that using film is about much more than that. It's about whether you enjoy the craft of using the medium in itself. So if you're looking for a new challenge, I really do recommend getting hold of a film camera, whether that's a Super 8 camera or a 16mm camera. And like me, you might make the realization that it still has a lot of life in it yet.